Hi everybody, it's good to see you again. So for today's book, for the plant unit, we are going to read The Curious Garden. The Curious Garden is the title of the book, which tells us the name of the book, tells us what the book is about. The author is Peter Brown. What does an author do? That's right, he writes the words. Peter Brown is also the illustrator of the book. And what does an illustrator do? If you said draw the pictures, yes, he draws the pictures. Let's talk about the title for 1 minute. The word curious. What does that mean? Curious. It's a pretty big word. Well, when you're curious about something, you kind of question it. I wonder what something could be, or I wonder why. That's to be curious about something. I wonder how plants grow. I wonder what they need. I'm curious. I want to know. So when you're curious about something, you're kind of puzzled. How does that happen? What is going on here? So this is the Curious Garden. And as you can see from the picture clue, there's a little boy sitting up there. He is our main character of the story. And our main character is who the story is about. I see a watering can, and I see a bunch of things growing. Remember that word garden. Yeah, garden is a place where plants grow. Okay, so let's start this book. Before I even start reading, let's look at the picture for a minute. Looks kind of dreary, doesn't it? I don't know. A lot of smokestacks, not many things growing, kind of dull colors. Doesn't look like a very inviting place to me. Let's see. Once there was a city without gardens or trees or greenery of any kind. Most people spent time indoors. As you can imagine, this was a very dreary place. However, there was one boy who loved being outside, even on the drizzly days. While everyone else stayed inside, you can always find Liam happily splashing through the neighborhood. So Liam, that's the name of the boy who's the main character in our story. What is he carrying? Looks like an umbrella to me. And when would we use an umbrella? On what kind of weather? That's right, on a rainy day, right? So Liam is strolling through the neighborhood on a rainy day. Now lately we haven't been able to go outside that much. But sometimes we get to do that with our families every once in a while. Lately, we've been staying indoors a lot. On one such morning, Liam made several surprising discoveries. He was wandering around the old railway. As he did from time to time, he stumbled upon a dark stairwell leading up to the tracks. The railway had stopped working ages ago. Since Liam had always wanted to explore the tracks, this was the only one thing for a curious boy to do. A railway is where a train would go by. Tracks would be built on top of here, on top of this railway. But it's after a very long time, they stopped putting trains on this railway. So now there are no trains on there. As you can see, the tracks are all broken up. They're all old. So this railway is not being used anymore. Liam ran up the stairs, pushed open the door, and stepped onto the railway. The first thing he saw was a lonely patch of color. Wildflowers and plants were the last things he expected to find up there. But when he took a closer look, it became clear that the plants were dying. They needed a gardener. So here is a few little plants growing right there in this railway. What is a gardener? He wants to be a gardener. What does a gardener do? That's right, they plant plants. Maybe he can plant more plants and even help this little plant to grow. Let's see what happens. Liam may not have been a gardener, but he knew that he can help. He returned to the railway the very next day and got to work. The flowers nearly drowned, and he had a few plant pruning problems. But the plants patiently waited while Liam found a better way of gardening. Well, in this case, I think Liam's adding too much water, right? I mean, plants need water, but not that much. You don't want to drown the plants. And here, he was trying to help the plants by cutting them a little bit. And finally, he learned, okay, now I know the right way to take care of plants. As the weeks rolled by, Liam began to feel like a real gardener, and the plants began to feel like a real garden. Now he knows how to water the plants correctly. Because remember, plants need water, right, in order to grow. That's one of the things that plants need. Most gardens stay in one place, but this was no ordinary garden. With miles of open railway ahead of it, the garden was growing restless. It wanted to explore. So the garden is starting to spread out a little bit, isn't it? Though tough little weeds and mosses were the first to move, they popped out further and further down the tracks and were closely followed by more delicate plants. Over the next few months, Liam and the curious garden explored every corner of the railway. So now look, this whole railway is filled with plants. Thanks to Liam. It looks much better now, anyway. Look at all those wonderful plants that Liam grew. And now he's in a whole bunch of white flowers. Wow, that looks really cool. And a lot of green grass and some bushes. Pretty nice. But you know, Liam looked out of the city. There was still a lot to do, he thought. Where else can I plant a garden? What can I do next? Well, after spending his spring and summer and autumn with the garden, Liam's time on the railway was finally interrupted by, what season is this? Lots of white snow. What season do you think that is? If you said winter, you're correct. By winter, heavy blankets of snow fell on the city that season. And for the first time since he became a gardener, Liam could not visit his plants. Rather than waste his winter worrying about the garden, Liam spent it preparing for spring. So even though there's still snow on the ground, he was getting ready for spring. He has his wheelbarrow, his trowel, which is like a small little shovel for moving dirt around and poking holes in the dirt so you can plant some seeds, right? And what's that? That's a watering can, right? Because plants do need water, right? So we spent some more time indoors. And after 3 long months, the snow finally began to melt. Liam rolled his new gardening gear over to the railway. Okay, so tomorrow what we're going to do this is a pretty long book. We're going to read part 2 of The Curious Garden tomorrow. Okay? And then I can ask you questions of what you remember from the book. So think about it. What would happen after the snow melts in the winter? What do you think is going to happen? What do you think Leon is going to do when the snow melts after the winter? You can make a prediction, which is called a guess. He likes plants. He likes to plant. He likes to be a gardener. So when that snow melts for the spring, what do you think he's going to be up to in the spring? We'll find out tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye. See you later.